My first impressions of the uni campus, I was very overwhelmed, especially on my first day, not knowing where my classes were and where I was going.
The only time I'd ever been on a university was when I was playing junior rugby and we would go do fitness testing at the university sports fields. And so I realised that my conception of university was this mix of sports fields and what I'd seen in American movies. And so when I came and realised that it was kind of a little bit different, it was a bit of a shock.
My first impression of Macquarie University was beautiful because I walked down Wally's Walk and I've never seen a more pretty walkway in my life.
First impressions is that it doesn't feel that different to home. Lots of gum trees everywhere, open spaces. It feels like it could be somewhere that's close to home, and that is something that I do appreciate and enjoy.
So when I first came to uni, I lived at Robert Menzies College. It was like a college of about 300 people. I often describe college as the bridge between home life and being more individual in life. It was sort of the thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm living with others, but I'm also learning how to live on my own.
When I moved to Sydney, my first residence was Dunmore Lane College. The whole idea of college was quite exciting, being an only child and then being presented the opportunity to live with 300 people. I wasn't a boarding school kid, so this was quite exciting, and believe it or not, it was very exciting at the time of my life, and I met some amazing people.
I live on a college on campus called RMC, so I would say that's a very rural college. A lot of kids are from mainly Tamworth, so it's great fun. There's definitely a community vibe with it, so everyone, even though obviously you're doing a whole range of different degrees, you're all in the same boat. Basically, you're all stressed out about exams, you're all stressed out about assignments, but there's always constant events happening, so there's a time to take your mind off it and just be around people and have a bit of fun.
So one of the most important things that supported me in that decision to move away, and also in the actual doing it, was that I moved in with some family friends for a little while. So I rented a room from them. They were people that I've known my whole life, and then that gave me the time that I needed to be able to find somewhere closer to uni, and to be able not to have to rush into something because it was getting close to when uni was going to start, but just taking the time to slowly look around until I found the right place for me.
I was able to afford living in Sydney by staying with my uncle and auntie. When I got accepted into Macquarie University, I thought, I don't know what to do now. And we messaged them and they were more than happy. They were super excited that I was going to university, and I lived in, funnily enough, a demountable that they had at the back of their house. So I stayed out there.
Yeah, definitely there's a financial burden that going to university does place on you, particularly if you're from a rural area. I know for myself, I was always going to have to pay my way to uni. So when I finished school, I took a gap year, which I loved. I actually did something that was a bit different. I went to a Bible school for about 5-6 months. After that, I actually went and sat on a tractor for about 8 months. I just went up and down the field, earning a fair bit of money because I needed the money to go to uni in the first place.
I was very lucky to get a scholarship that paid for my whole second year, which was very lucky because at that point we're in 5th year of drought, so there was not a lot of money going around. And it made me feel so much better that I wasn't that dependent on my parents.
Yeah, so the cost of living in Sydney is a little bit of a rough patch. I do work, I'm a casual employee at Target, so that kind of helps me cover my rent and my everyday spending. I do get a bit of help from my parents sometimes, but I think when I'm 22 I'll go into Centrelink and then I'll be fully dependent on myself.
So ever since I moved, I have been supported by a Centrelink payment, so I've got youth allowance, but I've also been supported by the Country Education Foundation, specifically the Hastings Education Fund. They have given me 3 separate payouts, I think now, and Macquarie University have done a lot of matching those donations. But yeah, that's something that's really, really helped.
I'm definitely still overcoming the homesickness. It's definitely not as bad as it was when I first came, but yeah, it's so hard being away from family and what you're so used to.
Another challenge that I faced at uni was just the coursework. I didn't study legal studies at school. I didn't do like media film units at school either. So just getting my head around things like referencing, I had no idea. And things just like what to expect with academic writing and sort of answering questions, I found a real challenge. And it wasn't until I sort of got used to it and a few years later that I saw my marks improving.
My biggest challenge in moving to uni would have been looking after myself. So as much as I can claim that I'm an independent person, I still definitely struggled to organise my life in a way that was functional for me. So I was very sporty and athletic, and I didn't know how to sign up to a netball team. That was my mum's job. So coming here, I definitely went a year with no sport, and it kind of like went crazy, and it took me a while to adjust to be able to work out how to get into different associations. But it's not as hard as you think. It was just planning and figuring out what you needed to do.
I really enjoyed the autonomy of being out of home, so I left pretty much as soon as the HSC finished. I was 18, I got accepted into university, and then I moved down and started getting prepared. And I really loved being able to do what you wanted and having all of these extra opportunities and accessibility to things in Sydney that are not necessarily back at home or not that close.
I love life in Sydney. I honestly can't imagine myself anywhere else. I believe that I've really thrived since high school. Don't get me wrong, I love home. It makes me appreciate it so much more living in the city. I love going back home and sort of relaxing and unwinding, but Sydney is for me. It's fast-paced, everything's here for me. It's really changed my life, and I've got a really good group of friends here, and I can't imagine myself anywhere else.
One of the best things about being away from home is that everything's new. When I look back at my first year of college, it was one of the quickest years in my entire life because everything was a new experience. I was bouncing off the walls, just going, this is all new, this is all crazy. And so I really enjoyed that first year away from home because I was experiencing so many new things. And it was a really exciting time to try and figure out more of who I am, more of what I like to do, what I don't like to do. And I feel like Sydney and Macquarie provided me with the opportunity to expand and to test who I am and to really refine my character.
The best thing about studying away from home is definitely the opportunities I've been given whilst living here. So I've been able to pursue filmmaking, and I've been able to get a job in the legal sector as well. So things like that I wouldn't have been able to do whilst I was studying at home or even just being home.
The opportunities in terms of jobs or hobbies or interests is awesome. Right now I think I have about 6 different hobbies between surfing and hiking, rock climbing. Yeah, there's no way you could do something like that from Tamworth.
Life in Sydney definitely has more opportunities than back home in terms of the diversity of what you have access to. So when I moved down here, I worked at a gym, and I worked as a tutor, and I worked as a rugby coach at one of the girls' colleges, and I worked as a labourer, and I worked for an electrician, and I just had so many different types of jobs that were so quickly accessible.
When I first moved away from home, I'm going to tell you the truth in saying that I was so excited and I didn't miss it at all. But the older I've got and the more independence that's kind of fallen upon my shoulders, I've definitely began missing home more and more and more. And currently now I'm in a state where I want to go back and I just want to live at home again. But I'm living too much now, so it's going to be very difficult to do that.